fantasy is not just for the young person, but with a little bit of life experience behind you, you might look at it a little bit differently, like I did. The book we're talking about today is A Court of Thorns and Roses and by Sarah Moss, and I am so excited to review the book with you. As you know, here on Boozy Bee, every book deserves a cocktail, and this book is no different. So I have fixed a rose gin drink, and we're going to name it Thorns and Roses, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. So I was kind of coerced into doing this book because we're going to be doing it at Lit at the Paddle this month, and I had promised that we would do it, and so that's the reason that I jumped in on this book. Now, I am going to say that the author does an excellent job building these worlds. And when I get into fantasy, that's the one thing that really stands out on building these fantasy worlds. It is incredible that just by a few beautifully written words, they transport us into these worlds. And for A Court of Thorn and Roses, it is no different. She builds these worlds and these courts and describes them very, very well. And so you're transported into these worlds where these fairies live. And there's humans in here, and there's all these different uh, things going on. And it reminded me a lot of the backstory of Beauty and the Beast. And I have not researched that part of it. I didn't really know. But as I was reading, that's what it kind of reminded me of the buildup. The Belle and Feyre reminded me a lot of each other. And the only thing about Farah is that I wanted to slap her sometimes. This girl needed a mentor and a Yoda, somebody. Okay, so it reminded me of a scary movie when the the killer is after the young girl, and you're watching it, and you see her run down the stairs, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, don't, no, no, don't!" And then she does. That's what this reminded me of. And maybe it's because of the age that I am. I was just like, girl, you need to slow your roll down a little bit and think about the consequences of doing something before you actually do it, because you're not only putting your life in danger, you're putting other people in danger. And again, I know that that's part of the storyline. That's the buildup. But for me reading this book at my age, I'm like, oh my gosh, she just doesn't have a clue what the consequences could be. And that is the way I kind of read this whole book, the whole thing through. Did it distract me? No, it didn't distract me. It was a great book. And again, if you love details, and you know that the author is going into great detail, because you'll love this book. Also, I love that she took the time to explain some of the history of the fairies and their history, and why they couldn't do this and why they couldn't do that, and this would happen if that, and this. So I mean, like, she really got into just planting the seeds to keep going. And this is, I think we're waiting on book 6 and 7. So this one is the first book. And I understand, a little birdie told me that this one is the history. This is whatever. And so the next books are better. Yeah, I'm excited to see maybe where that goes, because the main male character was not what I thought he should be, and then there was another character in there that I was more drawn to. So it'll be interesting to see where she takes all of the characters. And the female character was a little, not only was she don't go there kind of girl, she also was almost a little whiny in a way, because she did take care of her parents, but once she kind of left the area, she kept thinking, well, are they thinking about me? Are they surviving because I'm not there? Um, so that kind of threw me off a little bit, I guess, or made me think again, in my age, is it just my age thinking, okay, you need to get over yourself and they'll be fine. And I love the the premise behind it. I love the story behind it. Um, and I love the descriptions of everything. And that's why I wanted to make this drink, because it does have different layers and world building. And so we're building a cocktail. And gin is one of my favorite foundation spirits. So it was kind of fun with that. And because it's the Court of Thorns and Roses, I thought, oh, let's use some rose water. I think that would be really good. So I will drop this down below, the recipe down below in the description, along with the book link. And y'all tell me what you think. Reading it at whatever age, I think fantasy is a great way to escape reality. I think that fantasy is so detailed. That's where it becomes real, is that the author has to be very, very detailed to immerse yourself into this world. And Sarah does a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. So I'm going to leave with a question. Have you read this? Is there a fantasy book that you love more than this one that I should read? I'm not opposed to reading any more fairies or dragons or whatever's out there. I would love to hear from you. And thank you again for joining me. I'm Dana B, and this is Boozy B's Books and Cocktails. And cheers. Ooh, perfect.
Cheers!